We had the same situation for a planner of the year. We had quite a few finalists. Was very difficult to determine how we determined our planner of the year. So many people with remarkable years, but we did narrow that down. We did our voting, and I again had to send another email. We had several ties that said, "Hey, you guys are making this a lot more difficult for me than I'd like it to be. Let's make sure we have a clear winner." We did, and we actually announced this at our month-end meeting just a couple weeks ago, and our planner of the year was Jim Wechsler. Again, fantastic numbers. Jim has been with us since inception. If you don't know, Jim is retiring, this was a very cool way to kind of send him off into the sunset. We had an opportunity for some folks to stand up and say some great things about Jim and share some different stories. Jim is a remarkable guy. He is the planning center, right? Like, he is exactly what we look for. So he does a fantastic job. We have a quick video, a quick slideshow for Jim as well, just because he is retiring just in a couple weeks. But before we do that, I just wanted to share one quick story that I shared at the month-end meeting with all the planners. So obviously, Jim does a fantastic job, performance, all that aside. I mean, not to minimize that, but he's always done a fantastic job, and everybody knows that. I think the one thing that I'll miss so much is my job tends to lend itself to where I'm here a little bit later in the evenings, and because Jim has called pretty much every single funeral home we have, he stays late on certain nights so that he can catch certain families later in the evening. And so we've had a chance to bond at that time when it's a little bit later, not as many people here. A lot of times we get a chance to talk about sports and what's going on in his life, what's going on in my life. So I was just thinking about that when we were talking about his retirement, which obviously I'm so over the moon excited for him. I was a little sad. I was working on the month-end meeting slides, and I was thinking, man, I don't know how many more times I'm going to be here late and have Jim here with me as well. So that was just something I wanted to share. As great as Jim has been for the last over 12 years as far as performance goes, he's an even better guy, and we will miss him greatly. So with that, we've got a quick video. So again, that was a pretty cool tribute and just a few snapshots of Jim. Again, we'll miss him and hopefully he'll stop by the office every once in a while. But I also know that Bret wants to share a couple things, so we're going to have him come on up and say a few words about Jim as well.
I am the wrong guy to be doing this. I already saw this video and it didn't do anything.
on up there,
Wow. This doesn't happen very often. In December, I had the opportunity to go to our Orem FPC. And they're in the process of building out the new office space, and so they were in some temporary space. And as I walked through the door of the temporary space, I had this deja vu moment. This place was pretty rough. I walked through the door and there are cardboard tables that the planners are calling from. The chairs don't match. There are posters pinned to the wall. I mean, this place was rough. And it made me think of when we started. And we started over on Barber Boulevard. And I think the temporary space that they had in Orem was actually bigger than the space that we started in here. And I thought to myself, man, why would anybody work here? And we went through somewhat the same thing when we started the company here. And one of the things that we knew that we wanted when we started the company, something that was going to be uniquely Precoa, was going to be the planning center. And so when we started, one of the very first things we needed to do was to find planners. And Jim was our very first planner. Jim has been with us for a very long time. 13 years. And it has been a true pleasure to have you to be a part of the Precoa family. There is nobody that embodies the love, the desire, the dedication to the FPC and to setting appointments and to helping people get to a spot where they can sit down with a counselor to do what we value most. And so we owe a tremendous amount to Mr. Jim Wechsler. So I want to share with you a couple of things. How many people here think they know what the population of Wilsonville is? Somebody take a crack at it.
18,500.
18,500. All right, the population of Wilsonville is about 21,000 people. So pretty darn close. Jim has set 21,226 appointments. He has set the equivalent of every person in the town of Wilsonville, which is incredible. Jim has, those 21,000 appointments have been converted into $24 million worth of pre-need sales. And those sales equate to a little over 6,000 families that have been affected by the appointments that you've set for them. So Jim, when Jim walked into my office 2 weeks ago and he had an envelope in his hand and he said, I gotta do it. He wants to spend time with his daughter, with his family, he wants to work on projects, he wants to focus on health. And he's put himself in a position to be able to do that. So Jim, we wish you nothing but the very best.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for the 13 years.
It's been a pleasure.
We bought you a watch for your service here. And please tell your wife and your daughter how much we love and appreciate you, and we'll miss you. Let's give it up for Mr.
first of all, I want to apologize for the big fuss. You know. Sorry for delaying the meeting, but it has been a pleasure. There's some fantastic people here. You know, I know a good deal of you, and it really means a lot. And starting from the beginning, and Michael Hornibrook was the first FPC manager and wore several hats, doing things like Jim Schaefer, and some of the others, and it has really been great. We've had a lot of people come and go, but a number of really good ones have stayed, and through it all, Bret and Mark and the others have just done a fantastic job. There's no place I would rather be. So, you know, some very good people in the planning center and throughout the entire company, and we've had a lot of fun, and it's been worth it, you know, to have a few laughs in addition to good work to help families out has been something that I've relished, and the relationships that we've had have meant a lot to me. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Let's give it up one more time for Jim.